I was just scrolling through my cloud storage, looking for an old document, and I came across the photo album for my first ever solo trip to Thailand 5 years ago. I spent the last hour just looking through them.
Oh, wow, your famous Thailand trip. I actually saw your throwback post on Instagram this morning with that picture of you in front of the temple, and it got me thinking. You always say that trip changed your life, but you've never actually told me the full story, detail by detail. We're not in a rush now. I want to hear everything. What was the final push that made you decide to go completely alone?
Honestly, it was a buildup of things. I was 25, working a job I didn't love, and I felt like my life was on a predictable, boring track. I had this desperate craving for an adventure. I kept asking friends to travel with me, but the timing was never right for anyone. One evening, after another friend canceled potential plans, I felt this wave of frustration. I just thought, am I going to let my life be dictated by other people's schedules? So, half out of frustration and half out of a desire to prove something to myself, I opened my laptop and started looking at flights. And you chose Thailand just like that? It was on a list of best places for solo travelers. It was affordable, beautiful, and culturally very different from anything I'd ever known. My hand was literally shaking as I hovered the mouse over the confirm purchase button for a one-way ticket to Bangkok. It felt like jumping off a cliff. The moment I clicked it, this wave of pure terror and absolute exhilaration washed over me.
A one-way ticket? That's incredibly brave. What did your parents say when you told them? I can imagine my mom would have locked me in my room.
Oh, that was a challenge in itself. My mom's first reaction was absolutely not. It's not safe. My dad was quieter, but just as worried. We had a lot of long, difficult conversations. I had to show them my detailed research, the hostels I'd booked, my budget, safety precautions, everything. I basically had to present it like a business proposal. Eventually, they saw how serious I was, and they gave me the reluctant blessing.
So you survived the family meetings and the intense planning. Then came the arrival. Tell me about that.
The 15-hour flight was one thing, but the moment the automatic doors of the airport in Bangkok slid open, it was like walking into a different world. It was a wall of heat and humidity that you could almost taste. The air was thick with the smell of street food, lemongrass and chili, mixed with incense and car exhaust. The noise was a symphony of chaos. Tuk-tuks buzzing, people shouting in a language I didn't understand, music blasting from somewhere. For the first hour, I just stood there, leaning against my backpack, thinking, I've made a huge, expensive mistake.
That sounds completely overwhelming. A total sensory overload. So what was your very next move?
I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and focused on the first tiny, manageable step, getting a taxi to my hostel. The driver was a kind-looking older man who didn't speak a word of English. I showed him the address on my phone, and he just nodded with a big smile. During the 45-minute drive, he had the radio on playing this beautiful Thai music. I just looked out the window as the cityscape flew by, gleaming modern skyscrapers next to ancient golden temples. It was that contrast, the old and the new, that started to calm me down. I realized, okay, this is scary, but it's also beautiful.
That's a powerful realization. So you made it to the hostel. Was there one specific experience that really defined the trip for you?
Definitely one. It happened about a weekend. I took a 14-hour overnight train from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. I'd booked the cheapest third-class seat, which meant no air conditioning and wooden benches. The carriage was packed with local families, monks in saffron robes, and vendors selling food. I was the only foreigner, and I felt incredibly conspicuous and a bit lonely.
I think I would have felt the same way. It's easy to feel isolated in a crowd like that.
I was tempted to just put my headphones in and disappear. But then an elderly woman sitting across from me held out a piece of fruit I'd never seen before. It was a rambutan, the crazy-looking red spiky fruit. I had no idea what to do with it. She saw my confusion and chuckled, and then using just her hands, she showed me how to break it open and eat it. It was so sweet and delicious. That small gesture broke the ice. Soon her entire family was sharing their dinner with me.
No way! What did you eat?
everything. Sticky rice from a bamboo container, grilled chicken, a spicy papaya salad, and some sweets wrapped in banana leaves. We couldn't speak the same language, but we communicated for hours using a translation app, drawings in a notepad, and a lot of pointing and laughing. They showed me pictures of their grandchildren. I showed them pictures of my cat. It was the most profound and genuine human connection I'd ever experienced. It taught me that kindness is a universal language.
That is an incredible story. But you mentioned there were challenges, too. Tell me about the toughest moment.
The toughest was when I got hopelessly lost in the mountains nearby. I'd rented a scooter and driven out to find this remote, hidden temple I'd read about. I parked the scooter and started hiking up a small trail, but there were many intersecting paths and I took a wrong turn. An hour later, I was deep in the jungle, the trail had disappeared, and my phone battery was dead.
Oh no, that is my actual nightmare scenario. What was going through your mind?
Pure panic. My heart was pounding. My mind was jumping to the worst case scenarios. Snakes, dehydration, being stuck there overnight. I had no map, no compass, and no one in the world knew where I was. I felt a real primal fear. I had to force myself to sit down on a rock and control my breathing. I remembered a meditation technique I'd learned, focusing on my breath. After about 5 minutes of that, the panic subsided just enough for me to think logically.
And you found your way back?
I remembered a landmark I had passed on the way up, a massive banyan tree with roots that looked like melting wax. I knew if I could find that tree, I could find the main path. I started retracing my steps, moving slowly, calling out every few minutes. It took almost an hour, which felt like an eternity, but then I saw it. The wave of relief that washed over me was indescribable. I practically ran back to my scooter. That night I ate a simple bowl of noodle soup in the village, and it tasted like the most delicious meal I'd ever had in my life.
I have goosebumps. I can absolutely see now why you say the trip changed you. It wasn't just a vacation, it was a series of life lessons.
Exactly. It taught me resilience. It taught me how to be calm under pressure. It taught me the difference between being alone and being lonely. I learned to truly enjoy my own company. I came home a different person, more confident, more resourceful, and less afraid of the unknown.
Hearing all this, it's inspiring. You know, I've been vaguely thinking about a solo trip to Peru, but I keep putting it off thinking it's too complicated or I'm not ready. Your story makes me feel like I just need to book the ticket.
You absolutely should. The hardest part is making the decision to go. Once you're there, you'll discover a strength and capability you never knew you had, and I'll be here to help you plan it every step of the way.